Unless you've been living under a rock for the past few years, there's absolutely no way that you haven't been looking forward to Spider-Man 2. Coming off the heels of the original, its remaster, and even the Miles Morales title, this has been a game that damn near everyone was excited about. Well, maybe not those of you on Xbox, PC, or still playing on PS4. But hey, at least you guys have Fortnite and the Avengers game to satisfy you, right? Anyway, if you haven't played the game yet or finished the story, then be warned that I will be covering some spoiler details in this video. Yes, that includes some stuff about the final boss too. So if you haven't played yet or don't want spoilers, then this is your chance to turn back now. Just don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, now that the true gamers are here with us, can we talk about how many of y'all platinumed this game in 2 days flat? I mean, it took me about 5 days, so I'm not that far off, but still. It's really clear that many of the fans have been hooked on this game since launch, and even I'm a little bit sad to see that the city is safe with not much more left to do. So we're here now to take a look back at this journey to remember some of the best parts of it, while also talking about what to expect from Insomniac in the near future. And if there's anything I forgot to go over, drop me a comment and let me know. But first, let's dig into the story a little bit. The plot this time focuses on both Peter and Miles and does a really good job of focusing on the losses that each of them experienced in the last 2 games. Balancing a life of fighting crime and helping everyone in New York definitely takes the power of 2 Spider-Men. But that doesn't escape the weight that they both hold even while they aren't suited up. One of the biggest struggles that we see Peter go through is needing to pay for a mortgage in New York City. Yeah, that's the real reason that the dude was out here talking about "we don't kill people" while tossing a manhole cover 60 miles an hour at some guy's head. So the first time I played the original game was when it first came out, and I kept forgetting that they changed how Peter looks. I was used to his more disheveled look, and now all I see is this dude who seems too nice for his own good. And I know they had to change the person who did the mocap because his face didn't match Yuri Lowenthal's face as well, so that's the real reason. But I don't know, the new look is a little bit too friendly, even though it did grow on me a little bit. But now all I see when I look at him is that doctor who kept saying, I am a surgeon! I am a surgeon! Good Peter is like the good doctor, and evil Peter is like Norman Bates. If you know, you know. But they did a really good job with Peter having his symbiote suit. First is with the way it looks, since it gives off a real alien vibe to it. Looking at the textures, it just reminds me of a xenomorph. Then as you progress through the story and see how much Peter is changing and letting the suit overcome him, we see the tendrils become more prominent and the suit has this veiny look to it. But the absolute best part about it is that we get to see Bully Maguire come back with some absolutely diabolical things to say.
Why don't you pop some more pills and say what you're really feeling?
Hey!
Like, damn bro, you just gonna let the homie have it like that? That's your childhood friend. All I can say is that Yuri Lowenthal was definitely channeling some of that Sasuke energy because he was a savage in the booth.
No wonder your family left you!
But when it comes to Miles, he had a really good character arc that tied up his resentment towards Lee after the death of his father. And that led to him getting some abilities that ended up being more powerful against symbiotes and making him into that much better of a Spider-Man along with it. Also, I couldn't help but notice how much people didn't like his final suit that was a Miles Morales original. And I have to agree that it's kind of stupid for you to have your hair out in that outfit because, well, first of all, somebody could just grab that shit and toss you around.
What the fuck are you wearing?
It's time for a Miles Morales original, you know? One of one.
That shit's ass, bro.
I've already seen people talk about his shitty hairstyle and say he has these doo-doo ass dreads. So for him to make that a prominent part of this suit, that is some bold ass shit. The dialogue and humor by itself deserves some attention because there are plenty of great moments here that people are clipping.
I'm fresh out of honey.
And to my shock, it's not even just the main characters who are getting clipped though, since even the NPCs here have some good dialogue. If you stop and listen to what they have to say, you'll hear conversations that sound like something you'd overhear in the streets of New York on any given day.
So you're saying it wasn't you in the store, but you just happened to have the stolen computer in your backpack?
Allegedly, officer, allegedly. This is actually my computer.
Like, these voice actors walked into the studio, were given a random topic to discuss, and just talked as if there wasn't even a script there. Stuff like this is what fans love to see, and I seriously appreciate this level of attention to detail. But moving into the gameplay, we start off the tutorial strong with a boss fight against Sandman. They throw you straight into the action and skip all the introduction stuff, which is a great way to start off a new game. And from there on, it's non-stop helping citizens, fighting thugs, and most importantly, getting the chance to explore the city. Most would agree when I say that these games aren't ever meant to be super difficult, and they're basically a free platinum trophy if you just put a tiny bit more effort into them. With the city being so expansive and fun to travel through, most of the collectibles and side quests damn near fall into your lap before you even know it. I spent many of my first hours just enjoying the new web wings and soaring through the skies of New York. You do a little sightseeing, try out some of the tricks, complete a mission or two, and everything flows together so smoothly. And that's probably the reason why so many players ended up finishing this in 2 days after the 3-year wait from Miles Morales. But hey, I won't even blame you guys for that, because the only times I stopped playing was because I was too tired to keep going. But the very next moment that I could jump back in, we were right back to saving the city. Because as most of you would agree, if it ain't you saving the city, then who will? The combat here is a perfect mix between simple and smart. We have many of the same enemy types like thugs, hunters, cult members, and later on symbiotes. They do introduce some larger enemies as we go along, and those do get a little more tricky, I can't lie. But you already know the spider gadgets are here to do a ton of the work for us. Seriously, between the upshot, the web grabber, and the ricochet web, I was wiping the floor with dudes before I could even throw a punch. When it comes to the specific Spider-Man that you play as though, I appreciate the differences they made. Starting with Miles, you already know that he has to rock out with the electric powers. Most of his techniques will be a variation of electric attacks that do well against groups of enemies and pack a serious punch against brutes. At times, I think Miles was the easy button whenever they gave me the chance to play as him. On the other hand, I can't say Peter was bad, but I didn't prefer him as much until after he got the symbiote abilities. The spider arms are cool and all, but it's just something about his kit that didn't feel quite as great to me, especially with his rush attack that didn't land too well in certain fights. But when we do get these symbiote powers, good lord does he feel like a powerhouse. This is also where Peter unlocks his surge ability so he can dish out massive amounts of damage in one shot just about anybody. Plus the animations on the finishers are a beautiful sight to see. Going back to Miles again, his surge ability was another thing I felt made him so powerful. When you start figuring out the kinds of combos that he's capable of using only his abilities, his surge starts to act like a bit of a battery that keeps his combos going even longer. And that's because it recharges his focus gauges and allows him to do even more back to back to back. Especially when you get to later parts of the story, Miles just felt way too overpowered for his own good compared to Pete. Especially in the final boss, I felt like the parts with Miles were so simple and the parts with Pete gave me a little bit more trouble. So one thing that people have been talking about is they've brought back the worst part of the original game, but they did add a funny twist to it. So you remember the MJ levels where you need to sneak around guards and not get caught? In an action-packed game like this, making levels where you need to sneak or else the game is over is just flat out lame. So this time, they gave us the ability to play as MJ for a short time, but decided, you know what, why not give her a gun? Granted, it's a stun gun, but as soon as she pulled this out for the first time, you could not tell me it didn't look real. Because Peter and Miles are out here preaching about not harming people, but MJ came to catch some bodies. It's like Insomniac said, what other games have these strong female protagonists and stealth? And they looked directly at Resident Evil and Last of Us and said, yep, that's it. Because all these missions felt like something that Ellie or Claire would be doing, just with less trauma and gore. But hey, if you were going to add in the MJ missions, I'm glad that you did it like this because I felt like it was so much more fun. To the point where if you made an entire game just like that, I would probably buy that. Hell, make that one of the DLC and I'm sure people would not mind. But one thing I love is how the fast travel feature was implemented. In most open world games, you're expected to unlock fast travel by unlocking towers or points around the map. So in a lot of games, that will be the very first thing you do so you get full freedom to travel anywhere you please. But here, it's something that you earn by completing tasks in each of the 14 boroughs. It might sound like somewhat of a nuisance, but I don't even think many would mind since it's fun to swing and glide through the city anyways. Before long, you end up having those fast travel points unlocked without even paying much mind to it as you naturally play at your own pace. By the time I actually did want to fast travel to go back and finish up the last few quests, they were all unlocked. And that's the kind of game design that I love. When you get rewarded and unlock features by just enjoying yourself and not being weighed down with random tasks. But you know, we can't talk about this game without discussing one of the most hype moments about it. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you don't, then consider this your spoiler warning. So for a good minute, I was wondering to myself if they were going to do something different and have Peter start to become Venom because he was going off the rails. And it would have been a nice idea since we can already play as Miles, and a fight on that scale would make a ton of sense. And yeah, we did get the big Peter and Miles fight, but my theory on him becoming Venom was clearly wrong. But bro, the very first time we saw Venom show up was something that everyone was talking about. They gave us full control of Venom for just this one section of the story, and I'm sure that you're just as mad as I was when you found out that you couldn't use him in the free roam. Like, it's getting so real out here that I've seen people finding ways to glitch Venom out of that area and do things like make him ride bikes in the open world. Like, if there is anything that we would pay for as DLC, please, for the love of everything, give us Venom as a playable character. Even if all we can do is jump around the city and fight low-level enemies, that would be amazing to bring him back. And it just reminds me of playing Ultimate Spider-Man on PS2, where you get the chance to play as Venom through half the game. Between playing as Venom in that game and also playing those Hulk games where you can destroy the entire city, that was some of the best times. But with there being so many loose ends near the end of the main story and even the side missions, I'm confident that Spider-Man 3 is going to be even better than anyone could imagine. We see some Easter eggs hinting at a few other Spider people possibly being playable, like Silk or even Miguel. Then with some villains like Carnage and Chameleon making cameos, this is looking like a trilogy that's going to be a straight 10 out of 10. But one thing I'm sure that everyone is expecting is to see Venom make a return, since it only makes total sense. At first I did question how he would fit in since he is a villain after all, but seeing how Peter was able to keep his symbiote powers even after it all ended gave me hope. We've already seen how Harry used the symbiote to create this Spider-Man outfit of his own, so imagining him recovering, gaining a cleansed version of the symbiote, and then taking on villains with Miles and Peter just sounds right. Plus, of course, having 2 Spider-Men in Spider-Man 2 must mean that we get at least 3 Spider-Men in Spider-Man 3. Even if Harry ends up not being one of them, maybe we can expect another game like Miles Morales, but instead with Venom. I don't know what they're gonna do, but all I know is that the people are craving more of that Venom gameplay like it's an addiction. With that being said, I have to give it to Insomniac for making yet another banger that people will love for years to come. Here's hoping that Wolverine gets that same treatment and even more when that game drops in the near future. But what do you guys think about Spider-Man 2? Was this worth the 3-year wait for you? And also, did you end up getting that platinum in the first 2 days? Come on, it's fine, I know you did, you don't have to lie about it, but I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.